Hello again. Welcome to another one in our series of SEC baseball interviews. I'm Chris Lee, joined by Graham Doty. Butch Thompson of Auburn joins us. One of our favorite conversations we have every year. Butch, thanks for joining us today at what is a busy time for you a couple of weeks ahead of the season.
Yeah, delayed Happy New Year, War Eagle to everybody.
Well, let's talk about your program. I know that you just landed maybe the best recruiting class you've ever had. Um, Better than that, they showed up. You got ballpark renovations. Just give us a vibe around Auburn baseball and the general direction of the program based on those things.
Yeah, we have our banquet tomorrow night. Everybody's excited this time of the year of getting ready, in expectation of the season. And I just think about, we had a challenging season last year, but we're still, I'm able to tell our people and supporters that have been amazing to us and really saw program growth within the last year. I'm able to tell them our goals. We're trying to host 3 out of 4 regionals at Plainsman Park. We're trying to go to 3 out of 6 World Series, and get back to Omaha. So that's really our goal. We went through enough last year to turn the page like everybody should do. Even if you have a good year, an average year, it's time to turn the page and get ready for this year. We had 4 guys playing, 4 major league debuts. And really since 2020, Auburn has had 11 debuts, which is second in this amazing conference. And I always say that when you can say you're second in this league in anything, the sport of baseball, that's saying something. That's really that's how much weight I give to it, and it's a big deal. So we had 11 different players playing the big leagues. We had just over $30 million facility renovation. That it's kind of incredible that they're going to have all this ready here in 14 days to start our season. But when you're on Sanford and you take a right on Donahue, the first thing is there'll be amazing drive-by with all the renovations down the first base line. We're going to have, our press box and scoreboard moved down that right field line. So it's going to be a ultra premium space of about 44 people in the press box area. The best view of the ballpark is going to be incredible. That'll be kind of our biggest group of supporters, and those were the people that had first opportunity to do that. The Hall of Fame Club opened up last year, which was tremendous, and this first base suite really reminds me, if you look at some of the AA ballparks closest to us, Montgomery, Huntsville, those big open space suites with the seating outside. Kind of a dual purpose for us from a revenue generating standpoint, if you will, because we also have the Tiger Walk down Donahue. Our football team is dropped off and walks into the stadium. So there's some backside features to allow us to make this a venue year round to be able to help us do some things. And then Coach Baird, I think about Coach Baird. I'm going to try to do something with him the next few days where when he built the original Plainsman Park that was just beautiful in 96, 97, whenever they got teed up, it just had that Camden Yard, the Fenway, the Wrigley Field feel to it. And this renovation has absolutely worked with the existing ballpark, and I think has only made it features to where it just seemed like most of the people in the SEC, my 20-plus years, they wanted this ballpark to stay intact. It was built well. It was brick. It wasn't aluminum. And because it was so well built at the beginning, we're able to add to it. And we finally, that 35-foot monster out in left field, now we'll be able to put 300 people game above that in general admission. And that's going to be one of the unique spots when you think of a Fenway and really college baseball not having many seating opportunities like that. Now that has come online, I think people are going to be super excited about that. So our capacity raises. I think that would allow us to get to top 10. We've had trouble counting people because we got the parking deck and people outside. This has allowed us to do some premium spaces, a drive-by. I think it's going to offer a better experience for our fans, a premium experience like never before. We had a beautiful stadium with basically season tickets, and with the Hall of Fame Club and these other 3 clubs coming online, I think it really allows us to put our best foot forward in a traditionally beautiful ballpark that's been Plainsman Park. So that the growth of our program, we did have the number. It just depends on who you talk to, 2, 3, 4, 5 recruiting class, kind of a consensus top 5, and 3 guys went in the major league draft in the top 20 rounds and still came to school. That seems to be a big deal now. So ton of resources, and people have helped us do that. The portal, we got some nice pieces and players. We have 19 returners with 21 new players. So I think this is a great way for us to bounce back, because the two things I think everybody's looking for to see if your program's intact is the locker room together and what's coming. And I believe what's coming is a pretty nice roster. But Coach Dye told me a few months right before he passed, whenever you go through some challenges and you stick with it, sometimes the less you say, the less you have to take back. So this group's worked hard for us. Our coaches have done a great job. Our coaching staff stayed intact. And, we're ready. This will be a tough schedule, just like every SEC team and every coach you talk to is going to be able to advertise a tough schedule. But I think we've made some good steps putting this roster together. Excitement in our program's never been bigger, and we're ready for the 25 campaign.
This upcoming season is your 10th as the head coach at Auburn. You got previous stops as assistants in the league. From your point of view, you got a unique perspective. How has the SEC grown on and off the field over the years?
Yeah, this is 2002 was my first year at Georgia, entering the league. And I just remember coming from I was a junior college head coach. I was an NAIA coach. We just won the national championship at Birmingham Southern. And when I got to Georgia, I just remember at about middle of that first fall, I'm like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe how good these players are. And then walking through that first season, how good this league is, it was just so incredible. So I don't have a very good way to answer the question except seeing every consecutive season for 23 years and going like, how did this continue to get better? How did the coaching, how did the facilities, how did the interest, but more importantly, between the lines, how did the players continue to get better? And it seemed like everything we were doing legislatively early in my career was to bring the bottom up and maybe suppress the top. And, buddy, this new world with the 20-round Major League draft where they're only taking 600 and that other 600 that always left that stayed, and then these new crazy, wacky pieces that I would have never imagined, like the transfer portal and things like that, and guys that were in different levels of college baseball that played amazing, wound up finding their way in the SEC. It's continued to do anything but get better. And then, we look at the season Paul Skeens put down a couple of years ago, and the SEC now, it was so good in 2002, but for that young man to pitch a season in our league and then the very first professional year, not only make it, but to start the All-Star game is just, I don't know if I'd ever imagined things of that nature, but everybody's good. Every team in our league last year, we struggled. We were at the bottom of the league last year, which is so a unique place for us to find ourselves. But we were 19-4 in our non-conference and played the number 3 schedule in America. So we beat some really good teams. But that's it. It's all comes down to it's relative to our league, and our league has never been better, and it has been on an incremental pace for 23 years to keep improving. And it's been so impressive to me, and it's been awesome. You take some licks, you have some moments, and kind of survivor of it, but it's been an incredible trajectory that's it's never been better.
Well, Butch, on the topic of big-time pro prospects, you got one behind the dish, and Ike Irish, who's a premium hitter. Tell us about his defense and where he is coming into this year.
Yeah, we made him earn it. It's kind of a throwback concept where he came in and he DH'd. We had Nate LaRue, and we were just really had a guy that had called us to Omaha, and but that wound up being somebody to teach him the game, right? So he's stair-stepped his steps where he's DH'd, played some outfield, caught some last year, was really coming on as a catcher, but had an injury and missed about a month, right in the middle SEC player, arguably our best player. So that was a huge challenge, not an excuse, but a challenge. And this fall, I'm like, what are we really going to do? Is he really an outfielder? Can he really, really catch? And he has an amazing arm. But, this thing's all about receiving the baseball and your connection to that guy that's 60 feet, 6 inches in front of you. And he's got that hit gene because he's a major league hitter. Yeah. And he's been that way before he got to Auburn. The guy broke our doubles record as a true freshman. The guy just has the hit tool. I had a field coordinator out yesterday watching us go, and it's like it's just different, and it is just a professional at bat. And really, he's definitely gotten out these first 2 years, but I'm not sure he's ever given a bat away. And you understand that. He is so interested. It's so personal. Every pitch is personal to him. I don't think I've ever seen him giving it bat away or not be interested in an at bat. And I always tell the troops, everybody else around, like, that's how you need to have an at bat. And you just feel like sometimes somebody's not at their best maximum competitive spirit to have that at bat. We're all human, but that is such a strength of his, and we made him earn it. And that's why I think he's going to have a big year. I think he could be a top 10 overall type pick, is because I think people are going to be impressed with the catching. And I'm able to give an account to you guys today that he earned it. We didn't just say, here's a prospect and you can have it, because we got a couple other good guys that can catch too. We made him earn that, and he actually did this fall. And I think that gives him confidence. I think that's like another notch in the belt, that we didn't give him something, he earned something. But he's doing a great job. Our pitchers and catchers, last year was the first year we haven't done that in a while. We've brought in a new pitching coach, and of course, with being challenged and stuff like that, I'm going back to what we've done for so long that's been successful for us. And so our catcher in our system, the way it has been in the past, and Ike gets that opportunity to, him and that pitcher call the game. And we do some features to help wire them, but we think that's how we've had so many guys go on and make it all the way up. And we think that's been a critical feature to our success, and Ike's bought into it and earned the right to be our number one catcher going into this season.
What did Ike have to do to earn that respect from you to be able to call games like that for you behind the plate?
Yeah, to not think about hitting when he's back there catching, to being able to connect with that pitcher, to be able to understand our system and understand it's just not how hard you throw or how many good at bats you have. I just think about championship time. I think about the 9 World Series teams that we've had. They haven't been our 9 best teams I've coached in 32 years, but every one of them had a catcher. There's never been a World Series team that I've been a part of that was not pretty buttoned up behind the plate, the catcher. And so I think he absolutely has filled those gaps in for me and has made me feel like that he has pursued this and the same desire to hit. He's had the same desire to learn how to run a game and connect with our pitching staff. And so and then you add those tools that he has in, and that's the best tool set that we possess, because this is a special player.
Butch, let's talk about the rest of your lineup. I know Cooper McMurray at first, I think, is one of the more underrated players in the league. You got Guevara, who had an interesting story last year, maybe Fabian and Snow rounding out your infield. You got Rembert, potentially a newcomer in your outfield. Bristol Carter from East Carolina. Lucas Steele from Stanford, maybe being your DH. That's a lot of new faces. What can you tell us about those guys?
Yeah, Cooper McMurray, I think, is a good one. I appreciate that, because what he's got is numbers for 2 years, and you start talking about, 28, 30 home runs, RBIs, over 120, and played a good defense for us. So having him back for a third year is a big deal for us. So you get an Ike at catcher, you get Cooper there if we start working around the field to make this work. We have 3 defenders that we think are really good on the infield. You mentioned Snow. I would say Guevara, and I would say Fabian. Fabian's like a coach on the field, and this is his second year in our program. Kind of streaky with the bat. The consistency with his at-bats could make a difference, because I think we're a better team with him on the field, whether it be short, third, combination there, because he absolutely helps the guy to his right and to his left. It's like having a coach on the field. Guevara, I think about Guevara, and I think about a guy in a knee brace with ACL and playing about 75% last year, and you could tell it. It was even worse than I thought in hindsight, looking back after the season. All I can say is, picking up the pieces, I hope that's a return on our investment. He had over 500 this fall. Those are limited bats, but these guys are probably getting 100 bats in our fall that we run right now for most of our clubs. So and moving. There's no brace anymore. We think he can play all three infield positions. So what he had to go through last year, I hope there's a return investment for him and our ball club this year, and I think we saw it this fall, and it's exciting. I think I think we saw a shell of him last year, and he did everything that he could. But hopefully, him getting out there is we're going to see some of the benefits of that. And Snow coming over from South Florida, I think a guy that has played some, really had a great freshman year, athletic, really has some power to the pull side. So he's kind of short, stocky, but well built, and can really play the shortstop position. We think has done a great job with Coach Nunemaker settling in there, and gives you a little bat. So those three guys are really good. Two freshmen, I have to mention that we have to get at bats. You mentioned Rembert in the outfield. He played second and some outfield for us. We believe in that bat. We believe in the hard work and character of a freshman where we think he can help us now. And how do we plug him in to play some? Chase Fralic, left-hand hitter, is really straight to the baseball, has present power. Both those guys are physical enough to play right now, and I think they will. Fralic was one of those 3 drafts I was talking about that wound up coming to school. I think he has a chance to catch in the big leagues as a catcher. Can we get him on the field at third base, as a freshman with Ike and Strickland and Steele and Fralic being our 4 catchers? We got a pretty good but gridlock type situation there at the catcher's position. But can we get Rembert in there, Fralic in there, get some at bats? That feels like our infield pretty much. I think we have 2 center fielders. We lost a starter in that position last year, but Cade Ballou played a lot as a freshman, kind of like Guevara. Injury probably got him some at bats early, and man, he drove the ball. He had some big hits for us as a true freshman. It's a 6'4" frame, but he glides. I could even see us really contemplating right now with our staff of him potentially being a leadoff type. Him and Bristol Carter, the 2 center fielders, are leadoff type hitters. But Ballou is a pretty fluid athlete, and we could see that last year. Busted on the scene as a freshman, true freshman. It's exciting sophomore year. So how do they battle it out? And they look pretty even, but one of these guys, one might play center and one might play adjacent left field or something. But they're both exciting ball players and are ready to make a difference for us. And, another freshman to mention is Bub Terrell in right field. That was another one of those drafts that wound up coming to school. So you're hearing me say we got to get 2, 3, 4 freshmen in the lineup somehow. But I think they're good enough to do it. Usually, being in this league as long, Graham, we're talking about that a couple of questions before, being in it so long, you don't always go like, freshman, but we think we got a few sporty guys that can absolutely help us now and can make a difference there. So I think we're pretty deep. There's a lot more guys to mention. Addison Klepch is probably the fourth freshman from San Diego, California, shortstop, but a lot of times we recruit multiple shortstops and move them around. So we're trying to do that with him. Jet Johnson is a 2-way guy from Texas A&M that looks like he could handle one of those corner outfield spots. Lucas Steele has DH'd some when we played Florida State in the fall. He DH'd. We're working hard at catcher with him. He's a switch hitter. Very similar to McMurray, except he's a switch hitter, but those numbers are similar for the first 2 years at Samford to where we're talking about, 30 home runs and, 130, 40 RBI, whatever he's done. We're going to be able to hit a lot of left-handed hitters, Irish, McMurray, Ballou, Steele, if there's a right-hander on the mound, will be hitting left-handed. Bub Terrell, Fralic. So hopefully not just one-dimensional from that standpoint, but that's something that we feel like we have a very left-handed lineup, maybe more than what we've had in the past there. And we're good up the middle defensively with Ike there, and whether you got Snow or Fabian or Guevara, anybody in the middle, and then me kind of announcing to you guys, I think we got 2 pretty good center fielders that think we're pretty strong up the middle. If you tell me what we got to continue to work on is a percentage of strikes with our pitching staff, if we're going to go from what we did last year, that's not what we've done when we've been successful. The returners know it, and then very much went and added some pieces that we think can help solve that puzzle, but we think it's a strike percentage deal, and that's our number one driver. And really from a position player standpoint, I think we must be better at coming up with two deep on the corners, meaning first and third, meaning right field and left field. McMurray is a proven first baseman, but who's going to play behind him there? Who's really going to play right and left? And can Fralic come in and play some third base for us if we want to get him on the field right now? I told you the three infield defenders that we think are the three best ready to defend. But, this league, you also look at it, it's driven by very successful pitching staffs, but, you got to have a really, really productive offense. It's really hard to work hard and get that one run when somebody can make the one swing and score three. So we want to put our best lineup out there, but I think we all know it's like Skip Bertman used to say, the recipe was pitch, dominate the routine play, and timely hitting. We can't just put a bunch of bats out there and play porous defense and expect that that's going to dominate the best amateur baseball on earth.
That was an awesome breakdown. You touch on the pitching. Just at this point, how do you feel about your weekend rotation and your bullpen?
Well, they still got a couple more weeks, here leading in this, right at 2 weeks. That strike percentage thing, I don't know if I'm going for the most talented pitcher. I'm going for them to earn it, like I spent some time talking about Ike earning that catching position. I'm going to award the strike percentage. I want 70 plus, I think about Skeens and Hagen Smith and a couple of those guys at Texas A&M last year that I just respected so much. Those are, you go all that talent, you ooh and ah over that. But let me tell you, man, that's 70% north of strike percentage. Don't ever forget that. We've had the number one overall pick in the draft, and Casey Mize in 18, and that was a guy that had 116 strikeouts and 12 walks. That is a part of elite. We always talk about, we get ooh and ah on the pitches and the splits and all that, but it's always going to be a driver of strike percentage, and that's kind of what I'm using. Those are the straight lines that John Wooden used to talk about. That's the process. The one thing that I think if we can absolutely shoot for, that a lot of dominoes fall into place, if you will. Cade Fisher from Florida has done a nice job. Coveted a recruiting piece in that portal that was we went after. Samuel Dutton's experienced guy, has got a national championship from LSU, been a reliever. But he's pretty high on my pedestal right now. He's gone from 2 pitches to 4. We expanded it out. In the past, I've been one of those guys that kind of shrink the pitches, but, he's throwing the highest strike percentage on our team right now. So we built him out to a couple more pitches, and he's probably earned a bigger role maybe than what he's had in the past, again, because I feel like he's earned it a little bit. Those are 2 guys that come to mind. Maybe the biggest piece for us, going to Omaha in 2022 was Blake Burkhalter had a lot to do with that. You have to have a finisher. We feel like Hayden Murphy has kind of been the guy for us. It's been here for 2 years. Just thought the sky was the limit when you walked in the door. And basically, players are allowed to get better. And he's really tried to navigate, find his way, had an amazing fall. He's kind of fearless right now. I believe in his fastball. We picked up that cutter. Some new things that he can still really lean on the strike zone and be aggressive. So we think he could finish a game for us, and that would change our world. I think we had 8 or 9 one-run losses in the conference last year. And so, you're like, what does Auburn have to do to get back? Why am I so bullish and trying to act positive and stuff like that? Because I know the power of one. It's in grasp. I know we can make an impact in the game by being able to, one, finish it, commit to that pitching staff, and we think the position player team is going to stack up and look favorable against our competition. Us making a move, and that power, that one run, is going to come within this pitching staff, driven by strike percentage and a couple of these portal pieces I talked about, and hopefully a few of these returners. And I think there's some freshmen. I think a Christian Chatterton is a guy that absolutely can pitch now if he continues to act the way he does, and when everybody shows up, if he can continue to have the ball come out of his hand and get out front and lean on the zone the way he has, he can be successful now. Jackson Sanders, a lefty from just right down outside of our community here from Valley High School, lives over in Opelika, Alabama, next door to us. is an amazing freshman with one of those dynamic fastballs. It's heavy. It has life. Our guys hate hitting off of him, our old guys. And whenever I got old guys complimenting a young pitcher, which you're not supposed to do, but when they do that, then you feel like that guy has got a chance to do something for you. But we got we have a depth. We have some depth to this pitching staff. Who can be a front end guy to match the other schools? That is still a question mark. And I believe in Murphy. Our players believe in Murphy, but can he really lock down a game like, I've had Holder, who, I think is tied for the most SEC saves ever. Burkhalter's the most recent guy. Cody Greenhill. Those are the two best closers we've had since I've been here. Both of those guys got us to Omaha. Can Hayden Murphy be that guy to lock up that huge position that we didn't do a great job with last year to get us back to what a couple of those men in the past to do? We think Hayden is that answer.
Yeah, and if folks out there didn't see Hayden Murphy's numbers in the Cape, I would tell you to check them out because it backs that up. But what stands out to me, you got a lot of guys that have thrown a lot of innings in your bullpen. You mentioned strike throwers. Dylan Watts, the guy that doesn't give a lot of free passes. He's back. You got Mason Koch, I guess is how you pronounce his name, from Creighton, who I guess was their closer. Threw a lot of strikes for them, it looks like, just from looking on paper. John Armstrong's been a piece for you in the past. Parker Carlson's been along a while. Cam Tilley's been with you a while. It seems like you got a lot of guys that have thrown with some success for you. Where does your bullpen break out in terms of roles?
Yeah, you're giving away some of my secret weapons. That's what I thought I'd throw in a few. Mason Cook, it is a pretty healthy roster, and I knock on wood because that was kind of a challenge. Joseph Gonzalez was a USA, no doubt, top of the rotation, had been for us. Him never coming back, again, created some challenges, and everybody had to play up. And I think everybody knows if you don't have the pieces to really replace somebody like that, how it can just affect everything from that one standpoint. So, that's one of the deals. And Joseph is, finishing his Auburn degree, but it's not playing this spring. And it's somebody that's near and dear to me, but we're hell bent on him getting that Auburn degree. That's the next step before hopefully we could someday be able to help him continue his professional career. You mentioned all these pieces. John Armstrong has pitched for years for us. So low resting heart rate, whatever those numbers in the past, but he has a ton of appearances, experience. Carlson, those guys, I think, can really do some things to help bridge and stopgap some things to allow some younger guys with maybe more talent to do some things for us and pitch for us. Cam Tilley has been pretty exciting. That was one I was wanting you not to mention, that's been knocking on that 68% strikes. He's throwing beautifully. He came to us as a huge prospect, and the sky's the limit for him. He's a huge piece to us. Is he set up? Is he a piggyback? I think we all know in the new world and all the coaches you talk to, there's schemes ever so often. But most of us in college baseball are looking at, like Major League Baseball, college baseball in the SEC. What are we looking at? 5 1/3 is the average start now. Nobody's laying those 7-inning tracks. So you really need 2 4-inning guys, right? And hopefully somebody will just not give me the ball back and go pitch 6 or 7 ever so often to keep helping your bullpen. But I think you're seeing us train like what we're doing right now is playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday to mirror our schedule, and we're really training 8 starters. And sometimes you can go, all right, well, Chris, you throw the first 4 today. Graham, you're coming right behind him. Maybe Chris is righty, maybe Graham's lefty. You're balancing off of one another. You're both building out to 4 innings, hopefully, before the season starts. Next Friday, Graham, you're going to start. Chris, you'll go behind because these guys are still young. None of these guys have really ever come out of the pen. They're always usually the number 1 starter where they come from. They need to learn all these different things as we break down the roles. And Griffin Graves, I want to mention him as a lefty that just couldn't throw strikes last year for us, but so talented. And he's in about that 66% range right now for throwing strikes. I'm getting excited about him and Tilley. But I think they're ready to go. I think Carson Myers threw 40 innings of lefty for us. I think he has a chance to be better. He threw a ton for us last year, but I think he's best suited in the middle of that game. Maybe not the biggest swing and miss, but if you can get a lefty to come in and really lean on the strike zone and get you 2 or 3 innings to start getting to that back end, I think that would be a huge role. Can he shoulder that and do that for us? So I'm pretty excited about him. All the guys we've talked about and mentioned, but Mason Cook was a guy from Creighton that you mentioned, Chris.
Yeah.
Plus slider, a lot of strikes. I think a lot of our league fought for him, tried to get him to come once that name populated the portal. He's had a little bit of a wrist, and we did a little procedure back in November. So I think realistically, I don't think we're going to get to see him till SEC play. So 4 weeks into it is our target right now for him. And another procedure we had on non-throwing hand was Connor Gatwood, the freshman that's almost touching 100 out of Mobile down there. That again, another one of those drafts that make it school. And sky's the limit. But both those guys are behind the 8 ball a little bit and trying to work their way back and hopefully back to SEC play. But most of the guys I've mentioned are some guys that we're excited about running out there to get started with.
I'm curious. You've mentioned a few times that the low resting heart rate. Is that something you're born with, or can you coach that?
I just think the more you're inside the frame and you're riding a bull, you get a little more comfortable. If you can just put a hand on somebody's shoulder, if they've never done it before, it's beating pretty quick. I just think as you become more accomplished at what you do, if you've been in the setting for more time, as you get closer to the power of 10,000, like Malcolm Gladwell talked about, that a college guy never gets to. I just think the more times they're out there, the more times they're inside the frame, I just think they can slow the game down. I'd always heard major league pitchers fringe because, I've had 16 of them the last 10 years. And we talk about like, man, you don't want to get called up till you're ready. Or you see a lot of these organizations, they'll just throw them up for 4 or 5 days and throw them right back down with no intentions of keeping them up. But what that does, I think, is working on that resting heart rate where you can get comfortable. And the mound's your office. That's your stage. That's where, man, if you can't get comfortable there, you can't ever do your job properly or to the best of your ability. And I think sometimes they'll just throw those guys up that have been AA, AAA. They throw them up for about 5 or 6 days. Somebody starts handling their baggage, and you get that big league feel, and it's just going quick. But just getting up there for a few days and then getting sit back down, all these guys tell me when they get back to – they're sent back to AAA, they're like, the game slows down so much.
Yeah.
And the next time they go up, they're so much more prepared. The lights get brighter. You get to taste that a little bit. Then you go back down and the game slows down. And sometimes it is not skill. I mean, we recruit these guys and, you never know what you're going to get till you really get them the first time away from home. I don't care if they played travel ball for 48 years before they get to you, until they get in your frame, until they get in your world and get in this league. You never really know. But I think, getting to that low resting heart rate is an example of what I'm talking about, going up and down. And I think that hurts some guys young. It's not their skill. It's being able to take a breath and get comfortable where they're going to work. And players are allowed to get better. And Colonel Sanders looks the way he does on a box of chicken because he didn't figure it out at 18. We have to be patient. But our job, hopefully, as coaches is, can we get the guys to get to where they can get to that state and get to their stuff, basically, and get to being the best version of themselves and comfortable and love being out on the mound. It was such a blessing having Tim Hudson, as our pitching coach for 3 years here at Auburn, to be with our guys. But that dude, when he stepped on the mound, it just like a light.
Right.
His eye he loved being on that mound. And everybody's got to reckon with that, from within to get comfortable. And you can tell it. That's why man, that guy had a 7 ERA this year and he's like leading the conference in this, and this. Well, that resting heart rate, he got comfortable, he got settled, and now he can get to his stuff, and he's got it figured out now. I guess that's what I'm looking for and trying to help players get to.
Butch, thank you so much for your time. We got to bounce to the next one of these in just a couple of minutes here, but I want to give you the floor. Anything, and I feel like we covered a lot of ground here. Any big storylines with your team that are worth a discussion that we didn't get to?
I don't know. I just think it's going to be another great year. I think our people are excited. I think I'm as excited as I've ever been. Year 10 into building something. I still think we're pursuing a championship here, and even the big one. I'd like to win a national championship for Auburn baseball. Been a part of one. John Cohen and I are our new AD here. I can't say new AD. He's been here a couple of years now. We played for one together in 13. It was pretty neat in the same dugout. Coach Corbin, I think about him and all the people that I respect that's been in this league as long or a little bit longer than I have, and it took year 11 for him. I've seen our program grow. John Wooden got to UCLA in 1947, and I think before he started winning those 9 or 10 in a row, whatever that was, I'm not a huge basketball guy, but I know it took him 16 years to win the first one. In some way, I'm trying to craft and shape my mind and our people and all these people that have supported this program and allow it to build up. I think as year 10 goes, I think a lot of pieces are coming into place for our program, and hopefully we can make the best of it. And what I told the players, our deal is trying to get back and do something and all that. It's a great pursuit, but what we can't control is, I want them to go mad this year. And when I say go mad, I just want to make a difference in our community with one another, take care of these things that are really important for now and for down the road and forevermore. But if we would do a great job of just working hard, trying to make a difference, embracing this program, some of these results will fall into place for our program because we got a lot going for us.
Well, Butch, here's hoping one of these days we're having this conversation on the heels of you getting one the year before. Good luck to you. You've been to Omaha. You've done some great things at that program. We appreciate your time and wish you the best of luck this season.
Yeah, always enjoyed hanging out. You'll have a great day. Appreciate you.
All right. That's Auburn coach Butch Thompson. I'm Chris Lee, joined by Graham Doty of Southeastern 16. We're interviewing as many of these SEC coaches as possible, so hopefully you're here for that. Thanks for watching. We'll be back again soon with more baseball content here at Southeastern 16.